Welcome to the Jabbok Encounter audiobook, written and narrated by Akinyemi. This is a powerful journey of transformation, destiny, and divine encounter, inspired by the life-changing moment at the river Jabbok. As you listen, may every chapter stir your spirit, strengthen your faith, and lead you into your own encounter with God. Now let us begin with chapter 1, the night of transformation. There are moments in life when destiny brings a man to his own Jabbok, a place where the noise of the crowd fades, a place where titles no longer matter, a place where strength fades, and the soul must confront God. Jacob came to such a night. He had journeyed through years of deception, struggle, fear, and uncertainty. He had fought men, circumstances, and even himself. But now, standing at the threshold of his future, he faced the greatest battle of all, an encounter that would change his name, his identity, and his destiny forever. The night was silent. The river flowed gently. The shadows stretched across the land. And there lay Jacob, resting until the breaking of the day. This was not merely a struggle of the body. It was the wrestling of purpose. The collision between the old man and the new. The death of self and the birth of destiny. Every believer must come to this place, the place where God breaks pride, reshapes identity, and turns a new scene. Welcome to the Jabbok Encounter. May this chapter lead you into your whole moment of divine transformation. There are nights in life of a man that do not merely pass, they mark him forever. Most days move through the ordinary rhythms of life: work, family, ambition, struggle, and survival. But then comes a night ordained by God, a moment suspended between what has been and what must become. Such nights are not measured by hours alone. They are measured by the depth of the transformation they produce. The night at Jabbok was one of those moments. Jacob did not arrive at Jabbok as an innocent man. He came carrying the weight of history from the day of his birth. Struggle had defined him. He entered the world grasping his brother's heel, a prophetic sign that his life will be marked by pursuit, conflict, and an unusual hunger for what lay ahead. The very name Jacob spoke of one who supplants, one who crafts, one who seeks to secure destiny through human strategy. Yet destiny cannot be fully entered through fleshly wisdom. Jacob's life had been a series of portions: the birthright, the blessing, the wealth of Laban's house, the safety of his growing family, and the promise spoken over Abraham's seed. But beneath all this portion was a deeper crisis, the crisis of identity. He had obtained blessing, but he had not yet become the man capable of carrying the fullness of what God intended. This is where the mystery of Jabbok begins. Jabbok means pouring out or emptying. It is the place where a man must be empty of the first before it can be filled with the eternal. Before Jacob could cross into the next phase of destiny, he had to confront the version of himself that could no longer go forward. Ahead of him stood Esau, the embodiment of unresolved history. Behind him was Laban, the symbol of season, of delay, labor, and divine shaping. Around him were wives, children, servants, and possessions, the visible proof of blessing. But within him was still a divided man. The scripture records a striking phrase: and Jacob was left alone. Genesis chapter 32, verse 24. This is the threshold of every authentic divine encounter. God often removes the noise before he reveals the name. He separates a man from his security before he introduces him to his future. Solitude is not abandonment. It is often the sacred chamber where heaven performs its deepest work. In that lonely night, Jacob wrestled with a mysterious man until the breaking of day. This was no ordinary struggle. It was the clash between human strength and divine purpose, between inherited identity and covenant destiny, between who Jacob had been and who heaven had ordained him to become. The wrestling itself is deeply symbolic. God could have changed Jacob's name with a single word, yet he chose a struggle. Why? Because some transformations cannot be received casually. Some destinies require the death of resistance, the breaking of pride, and the surrender of every false support system. The encounter was intense enough that the socket of Jacob's thigh was touched, leaving him wounded. Yet the wound was not destruction. It was consecration. The lint became the visible evidence that a man had encountered God and survived the collision. His walk will never be the same because his identity was no longer the same. Then came the divine question: what is that name? God was not seeking information. It was demanding confrontation. Jacob had to say aloud the truth of who he had been before he could receive the revelation of who he was becoming. The response from heaven was immediate. Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. In that moment, one man became a nation. One night bettered generation. One encounter transformed private struggle into public destiny. This is why Jabbok still speaks today. Every believer must eventually come to their own Jabbok, the place where past labels lost their authority, where old methods failed, where fear and faith collide, and where God invites surrender before promotion. Your Jabbok may not look like Jacob's. It may come as a season of tears, a painful transition, an unanswered prayer, a divine delay, or a confrontation with the truth about yourself. Yet the principle remains the same. God brings men to the height of themselves so He can introduce them to the depth of His purpose. The beauty of the Jabbok encounter is that proves transformation is possible no matter how long a person has carried an old identity. One genuine encounter with God can rewrite destiny. By the dawn of that morning, Jacob crossed over as Israel. The same man who entered the night in fear emerged with authority. The same one who once manipulated blessing now carry covenant power. The same struggler became the father of tribes. This book is an invitation into that sacred mystery. It is for those standing at the head of transition, for those wrestling with identity, for those carrying promises bigger than their present capacity, for those who sense that God is using crisis as the birthplace of calling. May this chapter guide you to your own tenure, the place where you see God. Face yourself and emerge with a name large enough to carry nations, because at Jabbok, heaven proves a timeless truth where God finishes with a man. Generations can emerge from his surrender. Thank you for listening to this chapter of the Jabbok Encounter by Akinyemi. If this message has blessed you, please share it with others. Subscribe for the next chapter and stay connected for more life transforming teachings. Until the next chapter, may your own Jabbok become the place of your divine transformation. God bless you.